Hey folks, Katie here with Inspired Path Counseling. I just wanted to take a few minutes to check in with you folks at home and maybe a little bit with myself. It seems like a big pause button was just pushed on our lives. We haven't experienced social disruption like this within our society since the Spanish influenza of 1919. Started in 1918 and went to 1919. And weirdly enough, it actually started in Kansas. I don't know why they call it the Spanish influenza, but they do. And there's not many folks alive today who experienced that event. So it's out of our living memory. And so this feels like completely uncharted territory, and it can feel really unnerving. And it's entirely normal not to feel okay right now, because things aren't really okay. And we're working as a society to reduce the risk, and as everybody talks about, flattening that curve, which is super important. Even if you yourself don't know anybody that's become sick or needs to be hospitalized, by flattening this curve, when you do know someone, they're going to get better care, which is really, really important. We want to make sure that every American has that quality of care that they deserve. But right now, in this social distancing position that we're in, we might be filled with uncertainty, loneliness, isolation. If you're all of a sudden stuck at home with your whole family, where you used to go to work every day, you might be feeling a little crazy. And that's kind of normal too. And it's understandable. Our life just kind of took a collective U-turn. And we are at the beginning of a pretty uncertain time. We're not really sure how long this experience is going to last and how widespread it's going to become. The big question that is on a lot of our minds is, how do we deal with it ourselves emotionally? Like, how are we going to come out of this the other side? How are we going to help our family come out the other side? And how are we going to help our kids not only through this, but understand it? So I thought I would share with you some of the things that have been coming up in the sessions that I've been doing with clients over the last week. I have moved my entire practice to telehealth, and I'm doing that for the safety of my clients. I do believe that the service that I provide for people is very important, but I also think that their physical health is also extremely important as well. And I thought online therapy, distance therapy, would be the appropriate step during this uncertain time. So one of the things that you can do is, minimize your exposure. And it would be, perfect if we all had all the supplies that we needed to hold up in our house for a month and a half and let this blow over. But the fact of the matter is, probably there are exceptions out there. And there is probably a few folks out there that are completely fine right now, and kudos to you. But many of us will have to assess risk on the regular basis. Do we go to the grocery store? How often do we go to the grocery store? What precautions do we take? If you're anything like me, you might be over precautious and forcing everyone to come in the house to completely change their clothes and wash their hands. But we all have our little weirdness. So obviously you want to assess the risk of exposure during this time. The other thing that is a hard balance is staying informed but not over-informed. And I do struggle with this myself. And what platforms are we getting that information from? There is a graph out there, and I'm going to attempt to put the link in the description below, that has non-bias media source. It's like it shows you the different bias across the board, and I try to focus on the middle ones. anything that gets too right or too left is going to start skewing the information to fit their internal bias, and that's not terribly helpful right now. Right now we want to focus on very solid scientific information. A good website for those of us in PA or Pennsylvania would be pa.health.gov. I recommend only going once a day, and that'll kind of help you track the spread of the virus in your area. And of course, the CDC is a wonderful website for solid scientific information that has been verified. So you might see stuff on other news sources, but the CDC works very hard to verify their information, and that is, I think, a really important thing in this time. So those are the nuts and bolts of how to stay informed and how to minimize your risk. Now there's a lot of other important aspects of health during this time, and one is make sure that you get outside as much as possible. It's so easy to coop up with Netflix, and who doesn't love a good binge on the couch? But you got to break that up, and you got to remember that sunlight, beautiful sunlight, is a really important balance for our mental health. Getting outside, I will always recommend being in nature, getting your hands dirty. Try planting some seeds. You can pick them up when you're at a grocery store or at Home Depot for your other necessities, and try to grow something. Growing things is a really helpful and hopeful thing to do. I think I'm going to post a video about that soon as well, because I actually did pick up some seeds for myself. Finding new ways to connect to people. We're all feeling really disconnected. Facebook is wonderful sometimes, but sometimes it's pretty stressful. And the barrage of information can sometimes exhaust our brain. It can almost make our adrenals spin out of control, and we're just kind of obsessively searching for things to worry about. So, there are some interesting platforms out there like Zoom and Google Hangout and Amazon Party, I believe it's called. I was told by an adolescent that they really enjoyed that, and it was a lot of fun for them and their friends to connect. So that might be something that folks want to explore. Another really important way to kind of keep that balance going in your life is making time for movement. Try a yoga video on YouTube. There is a million, going from really nice, gentle, restorative yoga to prenatal yoga, to postnatal yoga, to mommy and me yoga, to some of the more strenuous, you're going to bend yourself into pretzel stuff, which is adventurous. Host yourself a dance party. Turn on some Lizzo and just, enjoy yourself and forget for just a minute what's going on in the world and just enjoy the music. One of my all-time favorites is putting on 80s music and bop around while cleaning the house, because I think that if I'm going to spend my time cleaning, I might as well enjoy it. Another really great thing, an important thing to do in this time, is finding a routine. Get up at a certain time each day. It doesn't have to be the same time you get up to go to work, to your hour-long commute to Baltimore or wherever you are off to on a normal day. But get up by a certain time. Make a cup of coffee. Have a good breakfast. If you're not working from home, then engage in something interesting, like take a course online. I think there's a number of avenues right now to kind of enhance your knowledge online. Another really, really helpful thing to do is to unplug and make some art or sing or create music. It doesn't have to be something that you would post on the internet. It could just be a silly song that you make up with your kids. Get some pots and pans out and hand them wooden spoons and, have them be your rhythm section, and get creative. Invite your family in to create with you. Write with a pen and paper. Unplug from your devices just for a little while each day and just get a little creative without judgment, which I know is challenging. But try to give yourself some creative time every day. And these ideas are just what have been coming up in sessions. I've had people talk about their board games that they're playing with their family. Someone told me, and I haven't played it yet, but someone told me about a game called Kids Against Maturity. And honestly, I'm intrigued, and I think I'll be purchasing that once I'm allowed back out. So, you know, this is a good time and an important time to connect with your family. When talking with your kids about the virus, the coronavirus, COVID-19, what is really important is to be really honest with them. Let them know what they can do, what kills the virus, how washing hands kills the virus. Help them understand what it is and what we can do to stop the spread or slow the spread. Share with them the flatten the curve chart. Information can be really empowering to kids. It's a wonderful way for them to understand that they have some sense of control in this. When we minimize it or tell them not to worry, they're going to hear what you're talking about, and they're going to hear the news, and they have access to the world outside of them. So be part of that information seeking. Show them how to look for good information on the internet. Help them learn good information guidance. And I think that way, they're well informed. They know what they can do to keep themselves as safe as possible. And I think when we all get through this, we'll be a little closer with one another. So good luck. Stay safe and sane. And I'll have to talk to you folks soon.